My name is Ryan Broder, and I've decided to do my extra credit slideshow on Roe v. Wade. I got this idea from the TED Talk we had to watch, which I believe was in either module 2 or 3. And I really liked that TED Talk, so I thought I'd just give some background on Roe v. Wade. So let's get started. What is Roe v. Wade? In 1973, Jane Roe challenged a Texas law that criminalized most abortions. The defendant in this case was Henry Wade, which was the Dallas County District Attorney. And the core question they were trying to get at and trying to solve was, does the U.S. Constitution protect a right for a pregnant person to have an abortion? The court decided, the Supreme Court decided that the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment actually protects a right to privacy that is broad enough to include the decision to terminate a pregnancy. And this decision was 7 votes to 2. But the state also has some interests, those being to protect the pregnant person's health and life, as well as the protect the health of the potential life, which is the fetus or the baby. So the state still had a say in the abortion. So it wasn't a broad absolute ruling. There were still some implications that the state had. Roe set up a trimester framework. She divided pregnancy into stages, telling states what they could regulate and when. This was broken down into 3 trimesters. The first trimester, the decision is left to the patient and their physician. States cannot outright ban an abortion. They do not have the power to do that. The second trimester, states may regulate abortion only to protect maternal health, not to ban it. So they still can't outright ban it, but they can have some regulations. And then going to the third trimester, once the fetus can survive outside the womb, states may prohibit abortions to protect life of the mother. So it's the question of viability. Is the fetus viable outside the womb? What Roe did not do. Although it gave the right for to terminate a pregnancy, it did not require government to fund abortions. There was a case after Roe v. Wade, which I think gave some funding to abortions, but when this was passed, it did not require government to fund abortions. It did not allow abortions without limits as well. And states could regulate more as pregnancy advanced and could prohibit post-viability abortions with life and health expectations. So again, the states do have some say when it comes to life and health of the mother and the fetus. Critiques from both sides. Supporters were saying that Roe protected autonomy and equality in healthcare decisions, but the critics, they believe the Constitution does not mention abortion, and Roe relied on overly broad reading of privacy. It doesn't specifically give the right, it doesn't lay out you have the right to an abortion in the Constitution, but Roe was able to use the term privacy and say that abortion fell under the privacy umbrella. The bottom line, for nearly 50 years, Roe v. Wade recognized a constitutional right to choose abortion before viability. Again, before if the fetus was viable outside the womb, there could not be an abortion. But before that, there could be an abortion. Simultaneously, states were allowed to implement regulations as pregnancy progressed. And Roe v. Wade was overruled in 2022 by Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, which returns abortion rights to the states. So you see a lot of a lot of current red states, they may have an outright abortion ban or heavy regulations on those abortions, which before 2022, that power was given to the federal government.